From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, the longtime Fairbanks North Star Borough School District employee now accused of sexually abusing two victims is speaking out about his case from jail.
That's right. Claude Folks, who has been incarcerated at Fairbanks Correctional Center since March, claims he has not received proper representation in either case he faces. Folks reached out to us via telephone after yesterday's hearing to discuss his concerns. One of these issues, Folks says, is that he has no information from his attorneys regarding the second alleged victim. This includes the victim's age, sex, or instances of when the alleged sexual abuse occurred. Yesterday in Fairbanks Superior Court, Folks' attorney claimed to have received roughly 30 hours of audio-video evidence in the new case, none of which is accessible by Folks.
Well, personally, I feel that I'm being misrepresented. I've had little to no representation in this case. I have been bounced around from the Fairbanks Public Defender's Office to the Fairbanks Public Advocate Office. I have no way of knowing exactly what is going on with this second case, and like I said, I can't fight a ghost. Justice is not being served. I worked with kids for 18 years, 9 in Detroit, 9 up here in Fairbanks, and I have never been accused of anything like this before.
After a federal investigation requested by Governor Sean Parnell unearthed significant problems within the ranks of the Alaska National Guard, Major General Thomas Katkis has resigned. The investigation conducted by the National Guard Bureau's Office of Complex Investigations was released today by Parnell's office. Afterwards, Parnell reportedly asked for the general's resignation. One major issue in the investigation was the handling of sexual assault cases inside of the Guard and how those cases were being conducted. The investigations revealed a lack of confidence in the command.
The body of an unidentified victim of Alaska serial killer Robert Hansen has been exhumed from a gravesite 30 years after her murder. Hansen, who recently died in an Anchorage hospital, led authorities to the site of her body near a lake north of Anchorage. Hansen confessed to killing 17 women in the 1970s and 80s. He claimed he would fly them to remote areas and hunt them as if they were game. The exhumation at Anchorage Memorial Park yesterday afternoon involved the remains of an unidentified woman believed to be in her late teens, whose body was found April 25, 1984, near Horseshoe Lake. Authorities say they know what happened to her, but now they want to identify her.
For the third time in a month, authorities are asking for the public's assistance in locating an escapee. 37-year-old Laura M. Mulcahy of Fairbanks reportedly jumped out of the van at the intersection of Airport Way and Cowell Street while being transported. Anyone having information on the whereabouts of Mulcahy is asked to call Alaska State Troopers at 451-5100.
Members of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly Science and Technology Committee are visiting Fairbanks to discuss issues in the Arctic. Today, the committee was in session at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, going over numerous issues facing the Arctic, including security, revenue, and climate change. Among these issues was the possibility of shipping lanes being added to areas off Alaska. The committee, made up of roughly 30 people, heard multiple speakers from the university discuss ways in which they could increase efficiency if that should occur. The committee is expected to release a mission report sometime this fall.
Interested in the developments in the Arctic, the whole question of whether of course everyone's interested in how the routes are going to perhaps be more open, what that will mean for everybody politically, economically, and what it will mean for the countries who are actually directly involved, which the United States is one, more or less because of Alaska. After all, it's Alaska that makes the United States an Arctic country.
All right, when we come back, classes resumed on campus.
And preventing brain injury is the theme of an upcoming training. Those stories are next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Today marked the first day of classes for the 2014 fall semester at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Jamie Schwartzwald spent the morning on campus and files this report.
Complimentary corn popping in Signers Hall as the first day of instruction has arrived to the UAF campus. For the roughly 10,000 students who attend UAF, it's a day to get acclimated with classes, meet new, and get reacquainted with old friends. Ben Eielson graduate and UAF freshman Monty Ford says she didn't have any pre-college jitters last night.
I just went to sleep, actually. I'm not really nervous. It's kind of just more school.
The UAF admissions office has been abuzz since the beginning of new student orientation on Sunday. Amy Bristor is a senior admissions counselor on campus. She says it's an exciting time of year for her office.
We just really love seeing the campus come to life again with the students arriving. And then we love seeing our students that we worked with, in the previous years too.
Students were greeted with the latest addition to campus, a 46,000 square foot dining facility in the Wood Center. The $28 million expansion was funded without the use of state dollars. Through a public-private partnership, the center was financed by the National Development Council. Dining and housing revenue will be used to repay the debt, and the facility will eventually be fully owned by the university. The expansion centralizes dining services on campus, bringing people together.
To have that interaction where we have faculty, staff, and students all in the same place in a community, rather than having the student dining separate from everything, that this becomes our hub for dining on campus and really becomes the place where people come to meet.
Jamie Schwartzwald reporting from UAF.
An Alaska state panel created to increase the consumption and purchase of local farm products and wild seafood held a meeting today in Fairbanks. The Alaska Food Resource Working Group heard testimony from the meat processing industry at the meeting in the Fairbanks Regional Public Health Center. Members of the group include representatives of 8 state agencies. The group is led by the State Department of Natural Resources and was created to recommend policies and measures.
We've had some interesting presentations from livestock producers right now, from elk ranches to bison ranches, trying to find out what the market is for meat in Alaska.
We always have these stunted tries at doing it. But we're going to keep trying and getting it right, and hopefully build an ag community, and that includes meat production.
Seroptimus International of Fairbanks is holding their 17th annual Ladies' Night Out on September 13th at Ravens Landing Community Center on Cowell Street. The event features champagne, chocolate, wine, and entertainment. On the agenda this year are the Ravens Landing Singers, Teresa Quakenbush, and company fashion show, Amanda and her hula hoops and Zumba. There will be an Alaska photo booth, silent auction, and vendors for everything from gifts and jewelry to learning how to apply makeup or protect yourself. Seroptimus is a global volunteer organization working to improve the lives of women and girls. Ticket information is available online at webcenter11.com.
Ladies' Night Out is a big fundraiser that we have each year, and we design it around women because their husbands are out hunting. And so we have this great evening of fashion and wine and hors d'oeuvres and just a silent auction, things that they can go shopping with. And it's our fundraiser for our different projects that we have within the community that help benefit women and girls.
Alaska agencies have teamed up to bring best practices for treating brain injury to Fairbanks in early November. From soldiers to snow machiners, Alaska has some of the highest rates of traumatic brain injury in the nation. The Brain Institute is designed for a range of professionals, from doctors, nurses, and psychologists to behavioral health counselors and educators. The training will focus on assessing and treating concussion and mild traumatic brain injury. The Institute will run November 5th through the 7th at the Westmark Fairbanks Hotel. Now, the deadline for the people to register was yesterday, but they are extending it to an as yet unannounced date.
The theme of the Institute this year is Mild in the Wild, Assessment and Treatment of Concussion and Mild TBI in the Last Frontier. So I have to look down to remember all of that. But there is a specific focus of this year's Institute on mild brain injury.
People wanting more information can call 907-274-2824. More information is also available at webcenter11.com.
All right, Joe Cook is up next with sports, and he has a preview on this year's Nanook cross-country team. Their first meet is this weekend.
Already. Also, history was made last night. Find out what with Joe next in sports.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Time for your Thursday sports. I'm Joe Cook. This Saturday is an important day for the Nanook cross-country teams. It's their first and only home races of the season, and it's the starting point for another season of progress. Here's more. This weekend is the Alaska Cross Country Invitational on the West Ridge Trails, the first and only home meet for the Nanooks. They invite 2 new schools, but what's new is depth that the women's team has.
Well, last year I definitely felt like most of us were running more individually just because we didn't have that much depth with the team. But this year, you know, we recruited girls, and there's a lot more girls that are running around my pace, so I'm not out doing workouts by myself or just with Dorothy, you know, like we're running more in a pack. So we're gonna be around each other, and we're gonna be able to work off of each other and have that depth as a team, and we can actually be more competitive.
Senior Ross McDougall thinks a change made in the offseason will help the men's team in 2014.
Another big change has been the spring training that we've had, because in the past it's been mostly individual training, but through this past spring we've had team practices, a lot of speed workouts. We carried a lot of momentum through the summer, and the summer went by quite fast, you know, so we're just kind of cruising right in there.
The women's team has 3 freshmen joining 5 sophomore returners, and the men's squad has a good mix of underclassmen with 3 seniors. Head coach Scott Jerome is honest in that his team is a couple years away from being GNAC contenders, but every year they aim to improve.
That's my goal ultimately, is that they have personal success, that they have they set PRs, and that they have the best races that they can have at the end of the season. And if you do that, and the team coalesces around that goal, and everyone is putting together decent races at the end of the season, then the team success comes. The team and the individual in this sport are linked so closely, intertwined so closely together, and so you have to nurture both of those things.
Now we focus on history being made for interior high school sports. Last night at West Valley High School was the first ever girls flag football game between local high school teams, and it was the Dog Bowl, the Malamutes and the Wolfpack. It was a game that turned out to be about defense for both squads. The first half went scoreless, but midway through the third quarter, defense returned to offense as Mariah Nelson, the freshman, snatches an interception, and that's to the crib. The first touchdown in interior flag football history is a 76-yard pick six for the Malamutes. West Valley tried to rally behind their defense and the play of Kay Rippey, a.k.a. Shift Team, on offense, but the Malamutes got 2 more interceptions in the fourth quarter. Nelson got her second after the hurry by Envy Pendergrass, and Jana Hadukovic got another INT to seal it. The 3 freshmen combined on defense, 3 picks for Lathrop as they win the first ever flag football game 6-0 over West Valley.
To make a touchdown in flag football for Fairbanks is very exciting for me. It's definitely in the history book for me. I'm just very glad that I got to experience being one of the first flag football players here, and having a great team, always confident.
Today our defense was great, on point, I guess you could say, but our offense wasn't too good, so next game we'll definitely work on that.
Being it was the first time they were out there, I think they did an excellent job coming from where we started from a couple weeks ago. Some of these girls knew nothing about football. These girls, they love football. Like, they really are coachable, and they're anxious to learn the game, so it was beautiful.
And the rematch of all rematches takes place on Saturday. Too bad it's not in the interior. The Allison Ravens, ranked number 2 in the medium and small schools poll, will face Nikiski in Nikiski this weekend. The Bulldogs are ranked 3rd. Both teams are 3-0. No love lost between the schools. Allison beat Nikiski to clinch the state title back in 2012. Now, the last time these teams met, the Bulldogs ended Allison's 2013 season in the small school semis with a 38-20 win. That game was tied 20-20 at the half. Last week, Nikiski shut out Monroe 40-0, and Allison shut down Voznesenka 77-0. Allison running back Anthony Griffith had the 2nd most rushing yards in Alaska high school football history in that game with 424, but the Ravens executed in all 3 phases. Now they know it's going to take a little bit more to defeat a team they have a lot of history with.
It's fun. Yeah, it was very fun because you're having a lot of competition. You got to step up your game and play at the highest level you can.
When everything's clicking, we're as good as the best of them. You know, we can get hot at any moment, so they definitely got to be, you know, aware of that. As to my performance, I'll just, you know, whenever I get the ball, I'll do as best I can. I'm not promising anything, so.
The history has shown that, you know, if you can get this first one, it leads to good things at the end of the season. So, you know, they're doing this, putting in the same hard work we are this week, and you know, they're well coached down there. We got to go down there, we got to bring our A game, got to be prepared.
And in volleyball last night, the Lathrop Malamutes prevailed in 3 sets over the Allison Ravens, winning 25-17, 25-23, and 25-17. Cheyenne Diebert had 9 kills, 4 blocks and 4 aces for Lathrop, while Lexi Smith had 15 digs, 4 aces, and 3 kills for Allison. Lathrop is now 2-1 on the year. The Ravens face North Pole tonight. And that's a wrap for sports. Your full weather forecast with Mike Schultz is coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome back, everyone, to weather for a Thursday night. Mike Schultz with you once again. A beautiful day across the interior. Even the winds dropped down. It was nice. We're looking at that weather forecast to continue into the weekend. In fact, temperatures could be near 60 degrees by Sunday, and an Indian summer is on the horizon for next week. How about that? Now, last night I was telling you about one viewer in Tok that sent me some photos of snow they had a couple days ago, and here's the proof. Katie Turk was able to capture that, and you can see the snow down here, about an inch or two, and that's their first snow of the year. It's gone now, but kind of an omen of things to come, I guess. Again, if you have a photograph to share, by all means send a photos at ktvf11.com. Here's your numbers right now. The normal high 62, today's high 55, the normal low 42. Last night, a chilly 28-degree reading. And the record high was 78 in 1917, 23 for the record low in 1980. Our sunrise and sunset about 14 hours and 10 minutes. That's a loss of 7 minutes from yesterday. Right around the community right now, our temperatures are pretty consistent. You see 57 degrees at Fairbanks, Fort Wainwright, and Allison Air Force Base, and North Pole at 56, with Nenana at 54, Denali Park also 54 degrees. On the satellite radar, it looks ominous and like it could be a big problem for us, but this area of low pressure is actually going to continue to spin off to the east and just give us mainly some high clouds, and that's about it. Folks down to the south, not as fortunate. They're going to get a lot of rain, it looks like. In fact, the latest map is showing rain into the Anchorage Bowl area with cloudy skies over southeast Alaska, Kodiak at 64, only 51 degrees in Anchorage. Up and down the west coast, I should say, 53 at Nome. More snow falling today in the Barrow area, 34 degrees there. Lower 48 weather, more showers and thunderstorms moving up from the south. I told you about that last night with the influx of moisture coming in from a couple of systems working together, tropical systems, and that's going to be bringing the folks there some very interesting weather. In fact, over the next couple of days, it looks like that thunderstorm activity is going to expand all the way into Las Vegas and over Southern California and be bringing some possible flash flooding and very heavy rain into all of the southwest portion of the country. And the overall jet stream, once again, will remain to the north, allowing the warm temperatures to continue over the west coast, hot and steamy over the east coast. All right, back to Alaska for tomorrow in the northern sections, becoming partly cloudy and partly sunny, I should say, in Barrow. Cloudy skies for Nome and sunny skies expected at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at, for the most part, mostly sunny skies across the region. Temperatures right around the upper 50s. Over southeast Alaska, more rain in the forecast for Juneau and a chance of rain for Ketchikan. While out to the southwest, we're looking at, for the most part, cloudy skies at Cold Bay, a few clouds for Bethel, and rain expected in Kodiak Island. And if you're heading on down the Anchorage area, looking at the rain likely for Anchorage, and rain will be developing for both Valdez and Homer. All right, time once again for our weather fact for this week as we're taking a break for the kids' weather. And our weather fact shows that in 1987, Charleston, South Carolina received 8 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. That's a lot of rain. And as always, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our Kids Weather Watch. And next week, we'll be visiting with the kids from Arctic Light Elementary School. All right, here's your forecast for the remainder of the night. Not as cold as last night, 34 the overnight low, partly cloudy skies. And the forecast for tomorrow looks pretty good too. More sun than clouds and warmer, 57 degrees for the high. And look at the 5-day outlook. As you can see here, things look really encouraging as we're moving in toward the 5-day period. Temperatures warming up to the mid to upper 60s, while overnight lows will once again be very comfortable too, starting off in the mid 30s, but warming up again to around 40 degrees, and no precipitation expected. So all in all, some nice weather, and it looks like a great weekend shaping up, guys.
I'm just going to clap.
That's
good.
60s.
Yeah.
It has been chilly. Yeah.
That is an Indian summer. We like that a lot.
Did any of you had frost on your windows this morning?
I wake up late in the afternoon, so I don't. I don't see frost.
Well, the 28 degrees.
Hopefully it's all gone.
Not too hard to explain that away.
All right. Well, that's a good reprieve for us for next week. That's
definitely
great. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Mike. And that'll wrap up this edition of our broadcast. We are glad you could join us.